In the late 1990s, many people believed the career of Robert Downey Jr. was finished. Once a rising Hollywood star, he had lost almost everything. Movie studios stopped calling him, directors refused to work with him, and after years of addiction and legal problems, he even went to prison. For many actors, that would be the end of the story. But what happened next surprised Hollywood. Because the same man who once sat in a prison cell would later become one of the most famous superheroes in the world. This is the real story of how Robert Downey Jr. went from prison to Iron Man. The life of Robert Downey Jr. is one of the most powerful comeback stories in Hollywood. Today, millions of people know him as Tony Stark, the genius hero from Iron Man and the leader of the Avengers. But many years ago, his future looked very different. At one time, Hollywood believed he would never work again. But to understand how his life changed, we must start from the beginning. Robert Downey Jr. was born in 1965 in New York City. His father, Robert Downey Sr., was a filmmaker, and his mother was an actress. Because of this, Robert grew up around movies and cameras. He started acting when he was very young. His father even gave him a small role in one of his films when he was only 5 years old. For Robert, acting was always part of life. But his childhood was not simple. His father struggled with drugs, and Robert was exposed to that world very early. As a teenager, Robert already loved acting. He moved to Los Angeles and began working in small television roles and movies. People quickly noticed his talent. He had charisma, energy, and a unique personality on screen. In the 1980s and early 1990s, his career started to grow quickly. Critics praised his performances. One of his most famous early roles was playing Charlie Chaplin in the film Chaplin. His performance was so strong that he received an Academy Award nomination. It looked like Robert Downey Jr. was becoming one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. But behind the success, another story was developing. For many years, Robert struggled with addiction. Drugs and alcohol slowly began to control his life. At first, people around him tried to help, but the problem became worse. Soon, his personal life started affecting his career. Directors became worried. Studios did not trust him. He missed meetings and sometimes could not finish work. Then the situation became even more serious. In the late 1990s, Robert was arrested several times for drug-related problems. In 1999, he was sentenced to prison after violating probation. For an actor who once walked on red carpets, this was a shocking fall. At that moment, many people believed his career was over forever. Hollywood can be a difficult place, and studios rarely take risks with actors who have legal problems. For Robert, the future looked dark. But prison also became a moment of reflection. It forced him to face the reality of his situation. He realized that if he wanted another chance, he would need to completely change his life. After leaving prison, he started focusing on recovery and rebuilding himself. But the road back to Hollywood was not easy. Even after he got clean, many studios still refused to hire him. Insurance companies believed he was too risky for big movie productions. Some actors would have given up at that point, but Robert did not. Slowly, he began working again in smaller roles. Step by step, he tried to rebuild trust in the industry. Then, something important happened. In the early 2000s, a few directors and producers decided to give him another chance. They believed in his talent and saw that he was trying to change his life. One of the biggest turning points came in 2008. At that time, a film studio was preparing a new superhero movie based on a comic book character named Tony Stark. The movie was called Iron Man. But there was a problem. Many executives were unsure about casting Robert Downey Jr. They worried about his past and were afraid the film could fail. However, the director believed Robert was perfect for the role. Tony Stark was a brilliant man with a complicated past, someone who made mistakes but tried to become better. In many ways, the character felt similar to Robert's own life. Finally, the studio agreed, and the decision changed everything. When Iron Man was released in 2008, the movie became a massive success. Audiences loved Robert's performance. His humor, intelligence, and energy made Tony Stark unforgettable. Suddenly, the man that Hollywood once rejected was again one of the biggest stars in the world. The success of Iron Man also launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one of the most successful movie franchises in history. Robert Downey Jr. became the face of the entire series. He appeared in multiple blockbuster films, including The Avengers. His career reached heights that few actors ever achieve. But perhaps the most inspiring part of his story is not the fame or the money. It is the comeback. Because Robert Downey Jr. showed that even after serious mistakes, people can change their lives. Today, he's respected not only for his acting, but also for his honesty about his past struggles. His story reminds us that failure does not have to be the end. Sometimes it is only the beginning of a new chapter. If you enjoy inspiring stories while improving your English, like this video and subscribe for more real stories like this.